God's chosen ones. Final awakening signs you're ignoring too long. Something shifted. You couldn't explain it, not to your friends, not even to yourself. You just stopped feeling things. The songs that once made you cry don't move you anymore. The places that once felt like home now feel like memories wearing someone else's clothes. And in the quiet, something keeps whispering. You're not broken. You're just outgrowing what was never yours to keep. At first, you thought you were falling into depression, maybe burnout, maybe loneliness. But this isn't sadness. This is sacred silence. Your soul is pulling away from the noise, not because it's quitting, but because it's remembering. You try to go back to who you were, but it doesn't fit anymore. The smile feels fake. The small talk makes your chest tighten, and suddenly, everything that used to define you starts to fall away. No one warned you that awakening would feel like unraveling. Most people ignore these signs until it's too late. But you didn't come here by accident. You came because something inside you already knew. This is not the end. This is the edge of something holy. Comment 7 if your spirit just whispered, "This is me." The strange silence before the shift. You didn't wake up one day and decide to change. Something changed you. It started slow, quiet, like forgetting a word you've known your whole life. Like waking up in a room you used to love and wondering why it suddenly feels off. You can't point to the exact moment. But this isn't who you used to be. Your life didn't fall apart. It fell silent. The text messages stopped. The plans unraveled. And the people who once needed you just faded. You tried to hold it together, smile, serve it, keep showing up. But inside, something was hollowing out. A gentle ache, a sacred emptiness. God, what's happening to me? But heaven doesn't answer in words. It answers in silence, in the empty room, in the detachment, in the dreams that don't make sense anymore. You didn't realize it then, but your soul had started packing its bags. Here's the truth no one told you. The final awakening doesn't begin with light. It begins with loss. Loss of interest, loss of old roles, loss of the version of you that knew how to please, perform, pretend, and still you keep going. Because something in your spirit refuses to give up even when your body is exhausted and your heart doesn't recognize your own reflection. If you're watching this right now, I want you to know this silence isn't punishment. It's preparation. You're not going crazy. You're not falling behind. You're not being forgotten. You're crossing over. This is what no one teaches, the sacred symptoms of the soul's rebirth. And if you're still here, it's because you're meant to hear what comes next. You're not just waking up, you're rising. Type 7 and 77 in the comments if your spirit is listening, even when your world has gone quiet. Part 1. The numbness before the birth. You didn't lose your emotions. They simply went quiet. One day you woke up and realized you no longer felt anything the way you used to. The laughter felt forced. The crying felt hollow. The excitement that once came from chasing, earning, pleasing them, and no one around you noticed. But you did. You felt yourself slipping out of a life that used to fit. And in its place, stillness. Not sadness, just stillness. At first, you thought it was burnout, exhaustion, maybe even depression. But deep down, something didn't add up. Because this numbness didn't feel empty. It felt sacred, clean, almost holy. You're not avoiding emotions. Your soul whispered. You've just outgrown noise. The things that once stirred you, petty arguments, social validation. Small ambitions now feel distant, muted, like echoes in a house you no longer live in. You're not detached. You're awakening. And this is the pause before your alignment. When you're this close to a breakthrough, your soul gets quiet. Why? Because the ego can't go where you're going. And before the real you can rise, the false one must fall asleep. Let me tell you something most people miss. God doesn't awaken us with a trumpet. He awakens us with a hush. He silences the old so we can finally hear the new. This is why you've been pulling away from people. Why conversations feel fake. Why your own voice sometimes startles you because it's changing tone. This isn't spiritual failure. This is sacred refinement. You're not disassociating. You're disconnecting from what's no longer true. Your soul is going through a shedding. Not loud, not obvious. Just gentle layers of illusion falling off one by one. And when people say, "You've changed," what they really mean is, "I can't reach you through the old script anymore." Good. You're not meant to be reached where you've been. You're being summoned to where you belong. This numbness is not the end. It's the womb. The darkness before the first breath. The spiritual anesthesia before the rebirth. And if you're in it now, if your days feel muted, your joy dim, your identity dissolving, don't panic. Lean in. Ask your soul, not your ego? What am I making space for? What old identity is being dismantled? The answers won't shout, they'll whisper. So slow down, breathe deep, and listen for the voice that only speaks in stillness. Because this is the beginning of your reintroduction, not to others, to yourself. To the you that never needed applause to feel whole. To the you that doesn't chase, prove, or perform, but simply knows when it's time to let go, knows when it's time to return, knows that sometimes being numb isn't the absence of life. It's the first contraction before you're born again. If you no longer feel like yourself, could it be because you're becoming who you were always meant to be? Type 7 not let me heaven if you're in this silent in-between and you're finally listening. Part 2. The sacred stillness before everything shifts. It doesn't make sense, does it? Everything in your life just slowed down. But not the peaceful kind of slow, not the vacation kind. This is a heavy, aching stillness. A pause that doesn't feel restful. It feels like the world forgot you. You wake up and nothing moves. Your phone doesn't ring. Plans unravel. The people who used to fill your life go silent. And suddenly, every day feels like a hallway with no doors, no noise, no instructions. Just you. You ask God, did I do something wrong? But the silence isn't punishment. It's preparation. Your soul isn't being ignored. It's being rewired. Heaven does its deepest work in the quiet. This is where most people panic. They rush to fill the silence with distractions, with noise, with people, with plans. They run from the stillness that was meant to make them whole. But not you. You've made it here. You've kept listening. That means something. Because this sacred stillness, it only comes before something major. Right before a tree breaks through the soil, there is stillness. Right before a heart knows who it's meant to love, there is stillness. Right before God realigns your entire path, there is stillness. Not because nothing's happening, but because everything is, just not on the outside yet. In this quiet, your nervous system is being reset. Your soul is whispering instructions to your future. Your spirit guides are shifting your internal compass toward alignment. This is why you feel untethered. This is why everything familiar feels distant. You are being moved not by force, but by frequency, and silence is the sound of heaven working in secret. So what do you do here? You breathe. You let go of needing to figure it out. You stop digging through the ruins of your old life, trying to make it feel alive again. You let the plans fall. You let the people fall. You let the old dreams fall, not because they were wrong, but because they've already served their purpose. The stillness is asking you to make room. This is what few understand. God doesn't speak loud in these moments. He speaks deep, not to your ears, to your bones. That's why you feel tired. That's why you crave solitude, because you're not just being prepared for a new blessing. You're being built to carry it. So let it be still. Let the texts go unanswered. Let the silence stretch. Let the days blend together if they must. Because what's forming behind the curtain of your life is sacred, is seismic, is yours. When people ask you why you've been so quiet lately, just smile. They won't understand. How could they? Stillness is the language only the soul understands. And yours is finally fluent. If the silence is stretching you, it's because your spirit is expanding. Soul question. What if everything falling away is making space for something that was always meant for you? Comment 777 if you're done running from the quiet and you're ready to let it build you. Part 3. The death of the mask. You used to be able to fake it. The smile, the nod, the polite "I'm fine" when your soul was screaming. You could show up for birthdays, office meetings, family calls, even when every part of you wanted to disappear. But now, you can't. Something in you refuses. The mask is slipping, and this time, you can't hold it in place. You sit in a room full of people and feel like you're watching a play you can't participate in anymore. You try to laugh at the jokes. You try to pretend you care about the conversation. But your body betrays you. Your face stays still. Your spirit stays silent. And the worst part? You used to be good at this. This isn't social anxiety. This isn't being anti. This is your soul revolting against the performance. It no longer has the energy to pretend, to appease, to entertain. The mask you wore for survival has become unbearable. You find yourself speaking truths you never used to say out loud. You stop softening your edges just to be liked. You start pulling away from conversations that once felt safe because they're no longer honest, no longer nourishing. You start choosing quiet over company, solitude over surface, not because you're bitter, but because you're finally done betraying yourself. This is the death of the mask. The part of you that could play along is crumbling. And yes, it's uncomfortable. People notice. Some say you've changed. Some say you're cold now. Some say you've become distant. But what they really mean is, I miss the version of you that made me comfortable, even at your own expense. You didn't become hard. You became honest. And most people aren't ready for the raw version of you. The one who doesn't perform. The one who doesn't explain every decision. The one who isn't smiling for approval anymore. Because the real you doesn't fit in rooms built on performance. The real you requires oxygen, honesty, spiritual depth. And masks suffocate that. Let yourself grieve the roles you used to play. Let yourself release the image they had of you. You don't need to live inside their expectations anymore. You're not here to be palatable. You're here to be free. This is not a breakdown. It's an unveiling, a resurrection of your truth. And yes, you may lose people. You may lose spaces. You may even lose the version of yourself that once felt safe. But what you gain, peace, authenticity, spiritual air, and that chosen one is worth everything. The more your truth rises, the less your mask survives. Soul question. If it's costing you your authenticity, is it worth keeping? Comment 7 if you're done performing and ready to breathe as your real self. Part 4. When your body starts to protest, you walk into the room and everything in you tightens. Your chest gets heavy, your skin prickles, your breath shallows, and you don't know why. No one said anything. No one did anything, but your body is already telling the truth. This space isn't safe for your spirit anymore. At first, you think you're being dramatic. You try to shake it off. You smile, sit down, breathe through it. But that ache in your stomach doesn't leave. The tension in your back won't relax. The headache starts behind your eyes and crawls down your spine. This isn't anxiety. This is your body protesting. You used to be able to tolerate anything. Crowded malls, toxic meetings, loud rooms full of fakeness and ego. You used to push through and call it strength. Now, you can't do it. Your system shuts down before you even understand why. The music feels too loud. The lights feel too harsh. The people feel too much. And your body says, we're not staying here anymore. What's happening is this. Your nervous system is evolving. Your spiritual frequency is rising. And your body, your sacred, intelligent body has stopped tolerating what your soul has already outgrown. You walk into familiar places and feel foreign. The office feels stale. Your friend's house feels energetically off. Even some family gatherings leave you drained for days. It's not personal, it's vibrational. You're not rejecting people. Your soul is rejecting frequencies that no longer nourish your destiny. This is where the shift becomes physical. Your body becomes your compass. Not your mind, not your logic, but your breath, your heartbeat, your gut. The temple is speaking now, louder than ever. So when that tightness rises, listen. When the room feels like it's closing in, leave. When the energy feels wrong, but the people seem nice, trust the signal. Your body isn't lying. It's becoming sacred tech, a vessel of discernment, a prophet wrapped in skin. The days of overriding are over. No more caffeinating your way through chaos. No more smiling through misalignment. No more squeezing into spaces where your light is too big, too sensitive, too soft, too sacred. This is the season of spiritual biology, and your body is done pretending. Honor it. Rest when it's tired. Step back when it recoils. Nourish it with food, movement, stillness, solitude. Because as your frequency rises, your body will guide your becoming. The temples were never made of stone. They were made of you. Soul hook. When your spirit ascends, your body starts guarding the gate. Soul question. What spaces is your body quietly begging you to leave? Comment 777 if your body has been warning you and you're finally ready to listen. Part 5. The dreams that say goodbye. Lately, your dreams have been strange. Not terrifying, not mystical, just familiar. Too familiar. Old places, old faces. People you haven't thought about in years. Homes you haven't lived in since childhood. Jobs you left. Lovers you outgrew. And something always feels off. A hallway that leads nowhere. A door that won't open. A dinner table full of people who won't look at you. You speak, but no one hears you. You wake up heavy, like you've been somewhere you weren't meant to stay. These aren't just dreams, they're farewells. Your soul is saying goodbye, not to people, not even to places, but to timelines, to entire lifetimes you never fully realized were closing. In these dreams, there's always something just slightly wrong. The air feels dim, the house feels too small. The people feel like actors in a play. Your spirit has already left. This is your subconscious packing bags. Your higher self collecting keys from doors you'll never walk through again. Because where you're going, you can't carry expired energy. Most people ignore these dreams. They shake them off, and scroll their way back into numbness. But not you. You feel them in your bones. You wake up weeping without knowing why. You sit in silence wondering, why does it feel like something ended, even though nothing happened? Because something did end, but not out here. In you, a soul contract, a karmic loop. An invisible cord has been severed in the night. And it's not random. Before your spirit can enter a new dimension, it revisits the old one, not to return, but to release. You're not dreaming. You're shedding. This is the exit interview. This is your spirit walking through the rooms of your past, touching the walls one last time, not with nostalgia, with reverence. So if you've been dreaming of childhood homes, of exes who still haunt your subconscious, of strange places that feel familiar and yet wrong, pay attention. Your soul is showing you what it's no longer carrying. Not because those places were bad, but because they're complete. And sometimes it's not symbolic at all. You'll wake up and just know, I'm never going back to that version of me. You'll feel a weight lifted without ceremony, without explanation. You'll cry in the shower and not know why. You'll feel grief without a name, and peace in its place. That's the work of the soul. Quiet, invisible, permanent. So stop asking why your dreams don't make sense. Stop trying to decode every detail. Just ask, what am I being released from? Then listen, not with your mind, with your knowing. Because this isn't just sleep. This is sacred transition. You're not dreaming to escape. You're dreaming to complete, to heal, to walk out of old realities gently, finally. And when the dreams stop, you'll know, because the new world will start speaking to you in silence, in symbols, in synchronicity. And this time, you won't need to go back to say goodbye. When your sleep feels like a funeral, it's because your resurrection is near. Soul question. What old timeline has your soul already left, even if your body hasn't caught up yet? Comment 777 if your dreams have been whispering goodbye and you're finally ready to walk forward. So here you are, after the numbness, after the stillness, after the mask cracked, body screamed, and the dreams mourned. You made it. You didn't run. You didn't distract yourself back to sleep. You listened. You wept. You waited. And somehow, in the quietest season of your life, something inside you lived, not just survived, transformed. Let this sink in. You didn't miss the signs. You were the sign. To the world, to the generations before you, to the souls who will find your story and whisper. That's what I felt too. You've crossed into a new realm now, a dimension not built on noise, performance, or popularity, but on clarity, wholeness, sacred peace. This is the final awakening. And while most people will ignore it until it's too late, you didn't. You've been emptied, yes, but only so the divine could pour something truer into you. Purpose, presence, power. You're no longer the one begging for a sign. You are the one being sent. So let the silence stay if it must. Let the old fall away. Let your spirit speak louder than your schedule. Because what's coming next won't need to be chased. It's already on its way. It's already been written. And it's waiting for the version of you that finally said, I'm not broken. I'm becoming light. What if your pain wasn't punishment, but permission to evolve? If this message found you in the middle of a quiet storm, if something deep inside you whispered, this is me, then don't leave this moment without marking it. Comment 7 Winla and below. Let the universe and this community know you're not behind. You're right on time. You were chosen. You were called. And now you're becoming. More is coming. And when it arrives, it won't feel like chaos. It'll feel like recognition. You won't need to beg it to stay because it will feel like home.